WCBI News at 10 starts now.
A manhunt is underway at this hour after a Tupelo police officer was shot and killed during a bank robbery this afternoon. A press conference is underway now. We will join that live in progress.
For any information leading to the arrest and apprehension of the criminals who committed these terrible acts, please call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-773-8477 or locally at 841-6491. I commend Chief Bartigari and the Tupelo Police Department for their bravery today and thank the Lee County Sheriff's Department for their unwavering support. I also want to thank the Mississippi Highway Patrol, Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, U.S. Marshal Service, and the FBI, who is now in charge of the investigation. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Special Agent in Charge, Daniel McMullen with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to emphasize that this is a joint investigation. This is a unified investigation between the FBI, the Tupelo Police Department, Lee County Sheriff's Office, MBI, and Mississippi Highway Patrol. I'd like to provide some information that we have with regard to subject description, vehicle descriptions, and so forth with the bank robbery. Please understand that this is still preliminary. This investigation is ongoing, but it's important to get this information out as quickly as we can to the public in order to get their assistance in case they have seen something that may be of lead value. The vehicle description that was associated with this bank robbery is described as a charcoal-colored, medium-sized sedan, possibly a rental vehicle, and it possibly has damage from gunfire. The subject may have fled in this vehicle or may have fled on foot. The vehicle make and model is not known, but the description is something that has been confirmed by multiple witnesses as charcoal color and medium size. The subject is described as 5'9" to 6 feet tall, thin build, light complexion, possibly African-American male. He could be injured, and we believe that he is possibly left-handed. We've provided photographs to the media with regard to the vehicle that's being described and also the subject, and we have in one of those photographs a weapon in the subject's left hand. Witnesses have identified his accent as being unique, perhaps not from this area. His clothing is described as khaki pants, wearing white Converse-type shoes. A light-colored long-sleeve jacket or shirt described as maybe having some type of quote-unquote Aztec design, and he was wearing a dark blue ski mask. Again, we're asking for the public's assistance. There are a number of ways that you can contact law enforcement through the Tupelo Police Department at 662-841-6491, through Crime Stoppers at 800-773-TIPS, 800-773-8477, through the Lee County Sheriff's Department website, and also the FBI Jackson Field Office at 601-948-5000. As was mentioned earlier, the reward for information leading to the capture of this person or persons responsible for this heinous act is up to $100,000, $50,000 from the FBI, and $50,000 from Bancorp South. Again, we're providing that information in the hopes that someone has seen something that will help us identify and locate this subject. Thank you.
Thank you again. Just ask the community for any assistance that you may have. Please keep the family of this fallen officer in your thoughts and prayers, and your continued support for the Tupelo Police Department and the City of Tupelo. That concludes this conference at this time. Thank you.
Now, you were just looking live there at Tupelo City Hall, where Mayor Jason Shelton and the FBI released a few new details, and that being that the suspect is possibly injured, possibly left-handed, and also has a unique accent and driving a dark-colored sedan. Now, we'll continue to follow this. Now, police have released a number of photos of the suspect. You're looking at it now. This is surveillance video from the Bancorp South that was robbed about 3:15 this afternoon on South Gloucester. You can clearly see a gun in his hand, Police say the robber is a black male, somewhere around the 6 feet range. He was wearing a hoodie and also khaki pants there. And WCBI's Alyssa Martin brings us the very latest on this investigation.
It all began around 3:15 when this heavily armed suspect walked into a bank on South Gloucester and demanded money. Tupelo police responding to the call confronted the suspects.
The suspects immediately jumped out of a vehicle and began firing at our officers. 2 of our officers were struck. A citizen picked up the mic of one of those police officers and called in an officer down call. We knew that we had officers that had been involved in a shooting.
38-year-old Gail Stauffer was taken to the hospital where he died a short time later. He had been a corporal with the Tupelo Police Department since 2005. The second officer, who is not being identified, is listed in critical condition. Witnesses say the suspects fled the scene on Carnation Street in a gray Dodge Stratus. Police from a multitude of agencies converged on the scene, blocking nearby streets, searching for suspects.
Speaking on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, I can assure the citizens of Tupelo and Lee County that we will exhaust all means to bring these people to justice.
A $50,000 reward is now being offered in the investigation. Police are hoping that this will encourage someone with new information to come forward to get the suspects off the streets. In Tupelo, I'm Alyssa Martin, WCBI News.
Now, we do have new information in that a reward for information leading to an arrest has been increased to $100,000. Bancorp South is matching a previous $50,000 reward. Now, the shooting happened during the middle of the afternoon on a busy stretch of South Gloucester. Starkville resident Joe Evans and family members were going north on Gloucester when the whole ordeal began. He shared his accounts with us earlier this evening.
3 Tupelo police cars came southbound from the intersection and sort of split off. One pulled maybe 8 or 10 cars in front of us, and I lost sight of him. And then the other 2 came behind us and pulled over. And both of those officers got out of their cars and moved around their cars, and then I lost sight of them. And then they came back around and I heard shots being fired. And at that point, my wife and my sister-in-law put their heads down, and I started looking for a way out. So I pulled into the oncoming lane and pulled off down a side street. And as I pulled off, I was able to see the 2 officers on the ground. I did not see the assailants at all.
Again, that was Starkville resident Joe Evans, who witnessed the shooting this afternoon in Tupelo. Now, Corporal Stauffer was known and loved by many people throughout Northeast Mississippi. The 38-year-old U.S. Army veteran was married and had 2 children. This evening, police and city officials and others gathered at Tupelo City Hall for a press briefing. Lee County Coroner Carolyn Green went to church with Stauffer, was good friends with his wife, and says the police officer loved his family and his job.
A family man. If he wasn't working, he was with his family, and he was an Iraqi veteran, very proud American. I mean, if you were on his Facebook page, you saw that. You saw pictures of him and his kids and his wife, and a very jovial person. Not one of the, you have different personalities in law enforcement, but he was always very jovial and fun-loving and just very fun to be around.
Stauffer is the son of Debbie Brandenburg, director of the Downtown Tupelo Main Street Association. And again, here's another look at the bank robbery suspect. A reminder, investigators are looking for a dark-colored sedan that could have been shot and have numerous damage from the shooting, and that is possibly involved in this crime. Also, we want to mention another officer was shot and injured during this bank robbery today, a 26-year-old officer who has not been identified. He remains in critical condition tonight. Again, if you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers.
WCBI First Alert Weather Forecast is brought to you by Alpha Insurance. Call Alpha agent Jamie Rock and Amory for all your insurance needs.
Clear skies across the area right now. Those clouds we had earlier today, they're gone, and now we're looking at a lot of stars shining overhead and temperatures that are falling into the low 30s in most spots. The exception to that rule, Oxford already at 28 degrees. We bottom out in the mid-20s tonight, upper 30s to low 40s for our Christmas Eve. During the daylight hours, we have plenty of sunshine tomorrow night. We'll cool things down again. I'll have the Christmas Day outlook in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Keith. A third person has died as a result of severe storms that swept through the state this past weekend. The unidentified woman died as a result of a car crash in Jasper County. The vehicle she was riding in with her husband struck a downed tree. Both died as a result. Another man died in Coahoma County when a tornado struck his mobile home. The National Weather Service confirms 5 tornadoes touched down in the state. 16 homes, 2 schools, 6 businesses, and a number of agricultural buildings were damaged or destroyed. A dead newborn was discovered in the closet of a Columbus home this morning. Police Chief Sylvain McQueen says the child's body was found just after 2:30 at a house on Burns Circle. Coroner Greg Merchant says it appears the infant was 6 to 7 months into gestation. That is, police have interviewed a woman who lived at the house and is believed to be the child's mother. No charges have been filed. The rain has moved out, but what will our Christmas forecast look like? Keith is up next. Stay with us. All right, welcome back, everyone. Real quickly, we just want to recap about what happened, today's tragic events in Tupelo. Here is surveillance video of the Bancorp South on South Gloucester. This is where an armed man walked in. He's wearing khaki pants, a hoodie, also a mask, and armed with a weapon there. And this happened about 3:15 this afternoon. Corporal Gail Stauffer was killed in a shootout with the suspect outside of the bank. We are told tonight that there could be multiple suspects. Also, that police are looking for a dark-colored sedan, possibly a rental vehicle with damage from the shootout. Also, the suspect could be injured and left-handed, and witnesses tell police that the suspect does have an accent, a unique accent not familiar to North Mississippi. They ask if you know anything to please call Crime Stoppers, call 911. Also, a 26-year-old officer with the Tupelo Police Department also injured in this incident today. He is in critical condition this evening, but is expected to survive. So some good news coming out of that tragedy. Keith, a quick look at our forecast.
Quick 40s for the next couple of days with sunshine.
All right, thanks so much. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue to update this story out of Tupelo on WCBI.com. Have a great night, everyone.